Hi there, Addy here from TorontonianOnline.com, here with a good friend, an amazing guest, an author, an investor, Quentin Desouza, also runs the Durham Real Estate Investment Club. Hi, hey, Quentin, how are you?
I'm good, Addy. How about yourself?
I'm doing very, very well. You're one of the guys that I met. I'm trying to remember, like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, or 3 years ago. Like we met off
Yeah,
the internet.
that's right, because you have that really cool "Hey, Addy" catchphrase, right? And
Yeah.
then I got sucked into your marketing machine. I got onto your website, and there was this. Oh, I can talk to you now. Wow, this is great. And then we started chatting, and we have similar strategies. You do it for buildings. I've done it for single family homes to fourplexes basically, and so we kind of went from there. Met at a coffee shop, and
I remember it was
chatted
Tim
back and forth.
Hortons. It was Tim Hortons on Kingston Road.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that really, really impressed me about you is the sheer number of properties that you have and the sheer number of properties you are managing by yourself. And you actually went out and you wrote books about this stuff. You wrote a book about management. You wrote a book about wealth management. You wrote a book about property management. Oh, sorry, the Ontario Toolbox. What is it called? The Property Management Toolbox. Reducing vacancies is the other one, and the third one is wealth management. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. So the one that I just finished this year is the filling vacancies toolbox, and so that one's just on the vacancies process, and it's specific to Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
The other book that I wrote is the property management toolbox, and that one's focused on management issues and just processes and systems, and that's specific for Ontario as well. And those are all available at the Ontario landlordtoolbox.com. And this one, which I co-wrote with my friends Jeff Woods and Andrew Brennan, it's called The Ultimate Wealth Strategy, and that's on Amazon. And that focus is really on the strategy that I use to build the portfolio, which is buying a property that's undervalued. It's not in its highest and best use, bringing it up to its highest and best use, then refinancing it to get the most amount of money I could get back out of it, and then holding it into the portfolio and just living off the cash flow basically now, and watching the properties grow. It's been really amazing. It's been I gotta say, and when I started this, I didn't know where I was going to end up, and in the last year, I left my teaching job and my golden handcuffs and all of that, and I've just been focusing on different passions that I have, and growing business, and just having fun.
That's awesome. So a
Yeah,
couple of things I want to point out to all of our viewers too. So what first? This stuff is all Ontario based. So this is
that's
stuff
right.
that you have done. So which city do you live in?
I live in Whitby,
Yeah.
but the properties I've owned, from Pickering to Bowmanville, I've owned out in Lindsay. I've owned in different areas, but my portfolio right now is focused from Pickering to Bowmanville. So I own properties all along that corridor.
So this is extended Greater Toronto area. This is not like we're
Yep.
going into the boonies. So I just wanted
No,
to point that
that,
out. The second thing, well, this is Ontario based. Second, you are actually somebody that has done this. Your book that you wrote with Andrew Bennett, The Wealth Management. Andrew is also another big investor in Ontario. He's done quite well for himself, starting off from a very humble beginning to what he is today. So what you're outlining in the books over here are actual real life examples, stuff that you have learned from your experiences, so people don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. They can learn exactly everything from your experiences and what you've gone through.
yeah, that's right. And it's actually quite an easy read because we are doing a storybook format, so it works out quite well.
Oh, that's great. And the third thing I want to point out is how long you've been doing it for about 8 years, 9 years now?
11 years
11
now.
years. Oh, wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
and you're still doing this.
Hmm.
So this is
Yeah,
still happening in today's market.
that's that's right. You can still make money today. I don't know why people think that you can. You can still make money. I've been in the last year, I've bought 7 properties since last July. And I've been using the same strategy I've been using in the past, except now for the last 6, I actually flipped them.
Okay.
Instead of refinancing and hold them, I flipped them and took the money now. It's really an active strategy, and you have to set yourself up properly, especially with being active income, from a tax situation, keep that in mind, and also from a liability protection situation. You want to get that all organized. But I really am using the exact same strategy that I did before, and now I'm just doing it. I'm just selling a few. The last one that I picked up, I'm holding on to, because the market is just, in the last year in the Durham region, we've gone up 17%, if you can imagine. And, having the portfolio that I do along that area, it's been like, I'm like jumping for joy every time I go down the street. And, I look at the infrastructure improvements, the 407, extension,
Yeah.
the West Durham link, and I go guys, this is great.
Invest more money.
Yahoo! And everybody's complaining about higher prices. I'm like, oh, that's too bad for you. No, it is it's a lot of fun, and there is still money to be made. Like, you can still come out here and there's still duplexes that'll cash flow well, and you'll get good quality renters, and there's still a lot of opportunity for sure.
All right. So we've been on this call for almost 6-7 minutes now. Hard to believe, like we just started right now. But what I wanted to do is I want to take a moment, just run through each of your book, and maybe you give us the top 3 nuggets. Like, what are the 3 things that somebody reading this book can get? I'm still working on your property management toolbox. It's an amazing read. The only thing is, I wish I had a little bit more time to read it. So I'm going to actually dedicate more time to finishing this one first. But it's a really good book. But if you want to just take a moment, point out the book, where they can get a copy of it, and the top 3 things they will learn by reading this book.
Sure. The Property Management Toolbox book you can get from the Ontario Landlord Toolbox.com. And if you think about property management, I look at it from a systems and a process perspective. What I want to do is I want to create systems and processes that I can scale, and that I can also time block. So that way I'm able to do the property management. And in particular, when I was working full-time, I had a very full professional life. I was doing a lot at work, and what I would do is I would block my time for property management. So one example of doing that is just setting up a phone system in order to divert calls into different areas. So let me give you an example. I use Grasshopper. There's eVoice, lots of other virtual phone call systems. Each tenant, we have one general number. We have fridge magnets and tenant binders. I'll talk about that later. But just when a phone call comes in, a tenant decides whether they are going to put in a question, press 1. If there's a repair, press 2. If there's an emergency, press 3. And if they are interested in, other programs that I offer, for. So what does that do for me as a person who's managing the property? Because I don't do any repairs or anything like that. I'm really just diverting calls. I can put somebody else in where I am right now. But what I'll do is, if it's an emergency, to me, it comes in as a number 3. So I know that I have to take that call. Yeah. It's an emergency, right? So I've already filtered the call. And then the repairs and the questions I'll do during office hours. So like when I was working full time, 7 to 9, I'll be answering those questions, connecting with different contractors, and working with the tenants to ensure that everything is connected and make sure that the repairs are done.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, so you block your time. The other thing I do is, and along with the property management, is use a tenant binder. And the tenant binder is really I actually picked it up from going to on a trip with my family to PEI, and the landlord that we had done this weekly rental with had this binder, and it had all the different restaurants in the area, the beaches, all that sort of stuff. So what did I do? I stole it, and I rejigged it for what I needed for my business. And now each of the properties has a binder. Each tenant in each, not each tenant, but each unit has a binder. It has all the important information in there, numbers to call, emergency numbers. It has how to read a water meter, how to check if the power is not on. What it gives them simple problem-solving
Interesting.
strategies. How to renew a lease, how to end a tenancy. So you try, what you're trying to do in your tenant binder is answer a lot of the common questions that you get, and then have that in the binder so that you're not answering the question over and over again. And if they ask you a question, you just say, just take a look at the tenant binder. It has the information in there. So what you're doing is you're creating a system that helps you to answer common questions so you don't have to waste time.
Wow.
And what I did was, when you purchase the book, you can go online and you can download a copy of my tenant binder.
I was going to ask,
And
do you supply copies of it? But that's a great idea.
So all the tenant forms and all the, I probably have like 30 forms that are on there, from creating an inspection plan to the systems like the tenant binder, the phone call system. That's all online, so you can, once you purchase the book, you actually get access to all of that.
Awesome.
So that's the phone system, the tenant binder, and I guess the other component I would say is that make sure you have a special phone number or email address that's associated with your rental business. Because if you start giving away your phone number, what's going to happen?
You just get inundated with phone calls.
That's right. You're going to get calls. You'll get text messages because they know what your phone number is. You'll be called, 1 in the morning or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
So if you use a filtering phone number like that, and you use it as your business number, you can avoid a lot of that hassle.
That's a very good point. So a service like Grasshopper, they usually charge like $45 or something like that per month. I use OneBox. They're like $55. You can have as many extensions as you want.
I pay $20 a month.
Oh, okay. So you have the basic version, just the big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's not bad. $20. You can't go wrong with $20 per month.
Yeah, and basically you're saving yourself a lot of time too, right? I always equate how much time I spend on a particular task, and I like to say that I'm worth at least $150 an hour at any task, right? And when I consult for people, I consult at $300 an hour, right? So I mean, my time is worth. I'm not going to go out and unplug a toilet. It doesn't make sense for me to do that, right? I'll hire a plumber to do that and pay them to do it because that's what they do best. Yeah. Right? For me, it's finding, joint venture partners or finding a new deal or getting, some bigger pieces in place to organize maybe another book or do something else, writing articles, because that's something I just enjoy doing, right? Yeah. I love teaching, so it's my, one of my passions.
It's a habit right there.
Yeah, I can get off track. So
that's okay. You take your time. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
So let's say like the Filling Vacancies book here. So the process is really to identify, who's a good tenant and who is going to be a problem for you, right? And when you ask people, like if you sit in a group of 100 people and you ask them as landlords, let's say they've been landlords for 10 years, how many of them have actually been called by other landlords, to do a reference check on a particular tenant? Maybe a handful of hands will go up, right? And what does that tell you? It tells me that people aren't doing any due diligence or enough due diligence on the tenants that they're putting in, right?
Yeah, because can I do a rebuttal on that one too? Because one of the big problems I had is I did do a referral check, but the tenant was
Yeah.
so horrible, and the landlord was so happy to get my call. He gave me a glowing review.
Yeah.
And the tenant was a royal pita. Like
Yeah.
really, like I lost $4,000 on that tenant.
Yeah.
Because she was
And
already milking the landlord, and the landlord got a call, and he's like, "Oh, she is so awesome. She's amazing. She's never missed a payment." So I look at it from both angles. But you're right. We should be doing due diligence on all of our tenants coming in.
and just to go over that point, one of the things I speak about is actually that in the book,
Okay.
in the film, and the problem with it, and what you should be doing is not only doing a check on the last landlord, because that's usually the one that's either they want to get rid of them or they want to keep them. I've actually had the opposite experience too.
Oh, really?
Tell me that a tenant wasn't really someone they would rent to again, but I've been renting to them for 5 years now and haven't had any issues.
Interesting.
So you know what I mean? Like, and I had a feeling that they didn't want their tenant to leave. So I had the opposite as well. But, going back to the second landlord, if you can, not the first landlord, but the second landlord, to get a little bit of information. The other thing now is everybody's posting stuff online, right? You go to Facebook, you go to Google, and you start doing a search for a person. You remember what their face is. You've asked for their, driver's license information, because that's really important. And then you go and you look and you see what kind of pictures are they posting. Are there pictures, posting, of them like, woo, having a great time, and it's okay,
Yeah.
right? But you want to also see those other pictures where they're, maybe with a family, or they seem kind of like respectable in what they're doing.
Normal.
That's right. Right. So that's another component of it, right?
Yeah.
So being able to do that sort of due diligence. Also, just making sure that your application form has the right types of information that are in there, so you can go back, and if there's ever an issue, you can look at maybe their emergency contact number to find out who that contact is, to maybe get another address of where they might have gone, right? By having that information in your application form, having driver's license information, because that's easier for a skip tracer to be able to identify where they've gone, right? So things like that, right? I think that there's a lot of due diligence that we can do, and your tenant it's your biggest liability or your biggest asset, right?
True.
So you've got to make sure that you do take the time and do that right. So that's the point of the Filling Vacancies book.
So that's interesting, though. So you're talking about two different aspects of it. One is you come up with the plan on filling up the vacancy, but you also want to make sure that you're not going to lose money on that vacancy or on filling them up. Like and a lot of times when you have bad tenants, it's almost better to leave it vacant than to actually rent it out.
Absolutely.
So it's better to actually do all of your due diligence beforehand. You do a step-by-step process on what information to collect, how to collect it, and how to verify all the information that is being provided.
Absolutely.
How many steps in that one, by the way, that book?
How many steps?
Yeah.
Actually, there's a whole appendix at the back that goes through all the different sections of it. So there's probably section 1, it looks like there's 20, 40.
Wow, there's a lot of steps.
41 steps.
See, no, you won't get caught on that one next time. So let's talk about your next book, the latest one that is coming out with Andrew Bennett, The Wealth Management. Or do you want to talk more about the last book? Was there anything else?
No, it's okay. This one we actually published last year.
Oh, okay.
And this is on Amazon, and this is with Andrew Brennan and Jeff Woods. And I don't know if you've ever met Jeff Woods before. He's a really good guy. His focus is out in Niagara, and he has a number of different businesses that he does together, and he's got a very large portfolio as well. He's a good guy to get to know. They're very, what I like about Andrew and Jeff is they're not they're down-to-earth people. They're not full of themselves, and it kind of, in this industry, there's a lot of people who, so it's full of those people. So it's nice. It's refreshing, actually. I kind of get attracted to those type of people because they're down to earth, but they've done so much. So And they use exactly the same strategy that I've been using to build wealth. So it only made sense that we kind of collaborated together, and we all focus on different areas. So it's kind of cool that that worked out too. But yeah, it's been a great experience, and that book is really about the strategy that we've used to build wealth, which is really buying a property that needs work to it,
Yep.
needs something changed to it,
Yep.
right? Maybe it's adding another unit to it. Maybe it's adding 2 units to it, whatever it is, to make that its highest and best use.
Yep.
Then taking that new value and then refinancing our, usually our 20% down or whatever it is. Sometimes it's, we take out 10, sometimes 15. A home run is 20, right?
Yeah.
And then you just continue to rent it out.
Yeah.
And, having done that for, 11, 12 years now, I really didn't start that way. But, after the mortgage rules kind of changed is where I really, I think it was about 2009 or 2008, something like that, where we moved from 5% and 100% financing to reality, right?
That was
And
2008, 2000, yeah, 2007 and 8, somewhere around there, where they took out the 100% finance. So your zero down was gone, and then they went down to 5% down.
yeah, and so and that's when I switched from what I was doing before to using this strategy, and they both, Jeff and Andrew, do that as well. And basically, by holding that property and now renting it, we've been taking advantage of all of that lift in over this period of time. And and I've heard statistics that prices have doubled since 2000. So you can imagine, even from 2008 to now, it's been very good to be in
In
real
real
estate.
estate, yeah.
But everything works in cycles, and I'm very well aware of that. I just I talked to somebody yesterday who was like, oh, I just want to do a specific type of investment because I don't want to really deal with tenants, and as soon as it's built I want to sell it. And I say that's okay, whatever you want to do, but the truth of the matter is you could be saying that for 20 years.
Yep.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not you're losing that opportunity, because you can still have that lift. But I'm saying that for me it's worked really well, because now I'm not even, I could sit here today and not buy another property, and I'd be okay with exactly where I'm at, and the growth that's happening, whether it goes down 20 or 30%, I don't care.
Yeah, the rents
Really.
are there.
Yeah, I've got my income coming in every month from the properties, and I don't go and fix anything. I'm really just a person that's a connector.
Yeah.
I connect people together, and at the end of the day, I can replace myself, which is kind of cool
So
too.
you're planning on selling the whole portfolio at some time and just retiring, am I right?
Well, yeah, you know what? I could set it up so that I have somebody who acts as me and does the connector, and we'll see what happens. I'm also investing, now, like, we you have different opportunities happen, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I had a triplex that went up in value over the last 2 years, and I was able to pull another 90,000 out of it. And so, you pull money out. So then I'm like, oh, what do I do with it? Well, I can invest in some second mortgages too. I can do different projects with it. Another project that I just picked up, a duplex in Oshawa in May, that we're working on. So, like, I mean, you just get different opportunities that kind of start to come up, and you can start to take advantage of too. And you don't. And for some of that, I don't necessarily have to be here to do it. I could be in Costa Rica or Mexico or Florida or Fiji, where I was born, right? So, like,
Well,
you could be in a different place.
yeah, well, that's amazing. I really enjoyed, ever since we met the first time. I really enjoyed how you had your business set up, and the one thing that I took away was that your level of attention to detail in setting up the foundations correctly, and from setting that up correctly, you were able to manage a large number of property on your own, I really like the idea of the phone. That's something that I have never used, but it's something that I would be looking at implementing now because it makes life a little bit easier, so you don't have to deal with tenants that much, just a little bit. But I did want to thank you very much for taking the time and go over this. Before
That's so quick.
what? It's 25 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know.
I know. Time just flies. Time flies. But I want to ask you. Do me a favor. Point out so the property management book and the rental vacancies can be found at the Ontario Landlord Toolbox.com, all one word. So that's the Ontario Landlord Toolbox. I have better resolution, so I don't know if people can read this. There we go. So that's where you can go and get a copy of these two books, and the other one is at Amazon, and that is called the
The
Wealth
the
Wealth
ultimate
Strategy,
wealth strategy.
a
Yeah.
complete guide to buying, sell, fixing, refinancing, and renting real estate. Quentin, any last thoughts that you want me to talk about, or you want to talk about?
Uh, you know what? I think that you're the a brilliant brander, my friend. I've never seen anybody brand as well as you. I love that because every time I think of you, I think, hey, Addy.
Hey, that's my phone number too. But talking about branding, you've created a specific brand for yourself too, starting from being a teacher to becoming an investor to now becoming an authority in real estate investment. You're doing teaching classes right now too. You're doing some coaching, not a lot, but it's something that you're getting involved into. What are your future plans? Where would we see Quentin in the next 5 years, aside from it being in Fiji?
Well, I have been working with other investors in the Durham region. So I've been working hard. Actually, we've been doing it for 6 years now, the Durham Real Estate Investment Club. And, actually we almost reached 100 people at the last meeting in June.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we have quite a few people that come out. So I'm looking for a bigger room, hopefully 125, 150 people, to fit in there. So I'm focusing on providing education every month and networking to people. I do coaching. I only take on 8 or 9 people every year. I only do it once a year, and I've filled this group for this year. I'll do it one more next year, and then I'll probably take a break because it takes too much time. Like I have people come out to my properties, and I go to their properties and give them feedback. And we do a mastermind once a month for 6 or 7 hours, and then weekly calls, and then I'll fill in with one-on-one calls where people get stuck. So it takes a lot of
Yeah.
time. I can't really. I do that for 6 months, and then I take a break. But other than that, I don't know. I'm getting more into like second mortgages and kind of taking advantage of the interest rates that I can get with that,
Mhm.
and probably learning more about that process. I'm a very like I try to pick up as much as I can about it, as well as doing it at the same time.
Yes.
So I'll probably get involved more and more in that space as well, and learn more about it and take advantage of it because it meets my criteria of I like to when I invest in something I want to see that I get recurring income from it.
Yes.
That's one of my criteria, as well as that I'm able to have some leverage or equity, and leverage into the property. So there's the ability, depending on the loan to value and the actual property itself, there's some leverage and security that I have as well. So probably take advantage of that space too. So, I'm always trying to grow and start little businesses too. So, you never know where I'm going to end up because I just having fun and just, you know, I don't know. When I was a kid, oh, sorry, I'm
Oh
going
no
on.
no no! I'm enjoying this. Please
Yeah.
carry on.
When I was a kid, I started this little black book, and when I was probably 13, I was reading a whole bunch of different books, and I started this little black book, and I would write down business ideas in it, and for like ever when I was teaching and all that, my professional life, I would still write down ideas in it, right? So I've got this big book of ideas of different things, the business ideas that I want to do, and I'm starting to take advantage of doing some of that. And I'd like to explore that a little bit more too with what I'm doing. So, and along with, I'm volunteering for my kids' school trips and going out to
Oh
those, and
wow, that's awesome.
things like that, right? So walking them to school, now they're walking themselves, but for most of the year, kind of taking them to school, and just a lot more freedom than I've been used to in the past. So it's been very good. But I want to take advantage of my time now, and use some of those business ideas that I've been, for years and years kind of pining on. If I had time to do it, I would, right? Yeah. So that's right. Take advantage of that and do that. So that's probably in the next 5 years you'll be seeing more and more of that.
Any more books on the horizon that you have coming?
I think I'm done for a little while. I
Okay.
think that's it for a little while. But you never know, right? There's always, especially I think basement suites in particular, there's a lot of people who are looking for more information on that. So that could be a possibility, working with a co-author along those fronts maybe.
Hmm.
But other than that, I think I've just been enjoying myself and continue to do more deals, and you know, I've got to learn to relax a little bit more too. I think that's I've
Are you
been
getting
used
old,
to.
Quentin?
No, you know what? I've been used to doing so much for so long.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to relax, right? So
Hmm.
I sometimes, I need to be told, Quentin, just take a day to yourself, go and relax, right? So we did a nice trip to the Bahamas this March break, so that was great, and we went on this gigantic water park. It was huge. Atlantis. I don't know if you've
I've
heard of
heard
it.
of it. Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. The kids had such a great time, and we were relaxed. It was good.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's you just enjoy life and work hard, right? And there's nothing that you can't achieve, right? You have to be focused, and anybody can do it. I'm not special,
Yeah.
really. I'm not. Anybody can do it. You just have to be focused enough to do it.
I'm gonna start calling you the man with focus and dedication. Because that's what I remember you as. Like anytime I've spoken to you, you've had laser like focus. If somebody wants to find out more information about you, or they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Um, you can connect with me from going to durhamrei.ca or appleridgehomes.ca.
Okay.
So those are the two ways that you could probably easily get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, I really want to thank you for taking the time to go over it, go over your books and all the amazing information you shared. I can't believe it's been half an hour and I'm late for my next appointment. No,
All
I'm
right.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I really, really enjoyed it. I really want to thank you for taking the time to sit down and go over all this stuff. A lot of great information, a lot of top threes that you have shared that are really going to be beneficial for everybody that is following us. Once they're posted, I'll send you the link so you can share it with your clientele as well. If somebody that you think that will find value in that. All right. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
and we will chat soon.
All right.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Addy.